We would like to welcome our presenter. Our presenter is Ms. Siobhan Thomas. She is the coordinator for PWCS HEALS here in Prince William County. So Ms. Thomas, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I am so glad to see you all here this evening. Thank you for taking the time out to come and learn about just an overview of social emotional learning. Before I begin, I just want to thank my supervisor, Heather Wine. She is here. She is the supervisor for social emotional learning. And I would just like to say, thank you for joining us this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I always feel like it's so much fun when I get to do this because it's like roulette. I never know if it's going to work. So what is social emotional learning? That can be a hot topic depending on where you are. What does it look like? What is it? What do we think it is? So before we begin, I am going to share a QR code. If you are on a device, you should be able to scan it with your phone. If not, you can go to menti.com and type in, let me give you the code now, 75091679. And let me share that. So again, that's 75091679. And I'll just give you a few minutes to log into that. So what I want you to do real quick is I want you to type a word or an emoji that best describes your mood right now. Not how you were feeling all day, but just right now. So I see a couple excited, I see sleepy, happy, meh, interested. Okay, I like that one. I like that one. And you can keep adding your emojis. I'm going to go back and go back here. And so that is just something that we use, which is called a warm welcome, that we use in the SEL community that just tells us how we're doing. It's one tool that makes us a little more self-aware of how we're feeling. If I'm tired, then it may be a little harder for me to grasp the concept of what's going. If I'm excited, then maybe I'm a little more in tune. And these are just some things that you can do with your students when they come home. If you had to look an emoji or pick an emoji on your phone, what would it be? Or what is a word that you can use to describe your day? That just helps us as families and caregivers and teachers and community members to just be more self-aware of how we're feeling. So that was just a quick activity that I wanted to share with you all this evening. So today, we are part of PWCS HEALS, and we are part of Commitment 2 in our Launching Thriving Future Strategic Plan. PWCS HEALS is connected to the strategic plan under Commitment 2, and that is Prince William County Public Schools will provide a learning environment which fosters inclusivity, connectedness, and encourages social and emotional wellness for all. This pretty much helps students let them know that they are provided with a set of skills that are essential for life after high school. So what are you going to learn today as families and caregivers? Today, we're going to talk about providing an overview of what social emotional learning is, the 5 overarching SEL competencies, and just to understand how SEL supports the home and school and the community. So, SEL is defined as the process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage emotions, and achieve personal and collective goals. Students are able to feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. That's really what SEL is defined as. But we believe that families are truly the student's first teacher and is an essential factor in just the cultivation of their social emotional learning. When schools and families are able to work together, we are able to build strong connections that reinforce that social emotional skill development. And in fact, research suggests that evidence-based SEL programs are far more effective when they extend into the home. So since I keep using this word, social emotional learning, I want to make sure that we all get a chance to be on the same page. So right now I'm going to show you a video that really best describes exactly what we mean by social emotional learning. And I need to make sure I share my sound. Can you all hear?
Think about the young people in your lives and all the different places where they're learning about themselves, how to relate to others, and work together on goals. How can we intentionally create learning experiences that will help all young people develop and maintain positive relationships, become lifelong learners, and contribute to a more caring, just world? Educators, researchers, community members, families, and the students themselves agree what we need is social and emotional learning, or SEL. SEL is the process through which young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes that help us to understand ourselves, connect with others, achieve our goals, and support our communities. We all need opportunities to learn and engage in environments where we feel safe, valued, and a sense of belonging. So how does SEL help schools, families, and communities work together so that all young people have these kinds of learning experiences and achieve success in education, careers, and life? CASTLE's framework identifies 5 areas of competence that together help us develop a healthy sense of who we are, manage stress, understand the views of others, and work together to create schools and communities where everyone can grow their strengths and interests. Self-awareness is about how we think about ourselves and who we are. It includes understanding our culture, our thoughts, feelings, and what we believe we're capable of, and understanding how these things can influence our behaviors and beliefs. Self-management is the ability to manage those emotions, thoughts, and actions in different situations so that we can achieve individual and collective goals. This includes coping with stress and anxiety, persevering through challenges, and taking action to create positive change. Social awareness is how we understand others, how we learn to take different perspectives and empathize even with people who are different from us. It also includes understanding how the broader norms and systems around us influence how we develop and create a sense of belonging. Relationship skills are how we connect and engage effectively with others, and how we form lasting friendships and connections. This includes communicating clearly, solving problems together, managing conflict and disagreements, and standing up for ourselves and the rights of others. Lastly, responsible decision-making is how we put it all together to make caring and constructive choices. This includes thinking critically about consequences, analyzing the impact of our actions on ourselves and others, and identifying solutions that support our collective well-being. We continue to develop and practice SEL throughout our lives and can adapt and apply these competencies across different contexts and cultures. How we develop SEL is impacted by our environments, which is why we need to work together across classrooms, schools, families, and communities. In the classroom, students can be explicitly taught SEL skills and also can practice and apply SEL during core subjects. like discussing different perspectives in social studies and language arts, or collaboratively problem solving in science or math. SEL is most effective when supported by evidence-based programs and trusting relationships where students are treated as partners in their learning. Beyond the classroom, SEL can be intentionally promoted throughout the school experience, from the way they're greeted in the morning to how discipline practices are carried out and how adults themselves develop and model positive relationships and the SEL competencies. Outside of school, families and caregivers provide the earliest and ongoing learning and interactions for their children, so it's important that schools listen to and authentically partner with families to help shape SEL priorities and strategies for supporting their children. Similarly, when schools partner with community organizations to align their efforts, SEL opportunities can be strengthened and students benefit even more. With SEL, we can help create schools and learning spaces where all young people feel connected, inspired, engaged, and ready to contribute to the world around them.
Okay. If you are comfortable or not, you can put it in the chat. Is there anything that you felt like resonated with you from that video, or just something that you didn't know before watching that video regarding SEL? No? Okay. Well, I'll just give you a moment to keep thinking. We hope that that video just brought just a little bit of clarification of what we're doing here and what we believe is true SEL. So in that video, we talked about the CASTLE framework. And what exactly is that? So I just want to clarify a few things. CASTLE stands for Collaborative for Social and Emotional Learning. The CASTLE framework focuses on developing relationships among the school, home, and community through 5 core competencies. These are the skills needed to be successful academically, behaviorally, socially, and emotionally. So I'm just going to go over the CASTLE wheel. Right here in the wheel, we have classrooms. So what does a classroom typically look like? So classrooms at the SEL level typically involves intentionally cultivating nurturing and safe environments, which are characterized by positive, caring relationships among the teachers and students. It looks like instruction through which social and emotional skills and attitudes are taught and practiced in development contextually and culturally responsive ways. And it's also teaching practices such as cooperative learning and that project-based learning group work. At the school level, which is the second part of our wheel, at the school level, SEL strategies typically take form of systems and practices that will model social emotional competence through school community. This could look like incorporating school-wide policies and practices that promote SEL, integrating SEL into goals and practices with universal, targeted, and intensive academic and behavioral support. The third part of the wheel is you, families and caregivers. And what that looks like is the insights and perspectives of family and caregivers are critical to informing, supporting, and sustaining SEL efforts. The research suggests that evidence-based SEL programs are far more effective when they are extended into the student's home. So the avenues for family partnership may include creating ongoing two-way communication, which is your school status, parent-teacher conferences, things like that, helping caregivers and families understand child development, helping teachers understand your students' family backgrounds and their cultures, providing opportunities for you all as families to volunteer in schools, extending learning activities and discussion into homes, and coordinating with family services with outside community partners. And the last one that goes outside of the wheel is communities. So our community partners, such as, out of school time providers, they could be community-based organizations, they could be your healthcare providers, and any other community institution that offers opportunities for young people to practice their SEL skills in settings that are both personally relevant and can open opportunities for their future. So to integrate SEL into these efforts across the school day and out of school time, school staff and community partners should align on a common language to just coordinate strategies and communication around SEL related activities. So what are the benefits of SEL? So the benefits of SEL are, better academic performance, improve attitudes and behaviors. It also reduces stress among the many benefits. The school-wide SEL refers to this process of developing a school community where this will is systemic in its sense. So inside the will, we have what we call the 5 core competencies of social emotional learning. They are self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. And I want you to think about those 5 because we're going to have an overview of those 5. At the end of the presentation, we'll talk about what could that look like, in the home and in our community. So again, I'm going to go over them. Self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. So if you look at the pictures on your screen, I just gave you the 5 competencies. If you look at these pictures, what do you think this competency could be related to? If you're comfortable, type it in the chat, and I'll go ahead and review them again. They are self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, social awareness, and healthy decision-making. Looking at these 4 pictures, which one do you think this could be? I see self-awareness, self-awareness, self-awareness. And we are correct. It is, as soon as my slide changes, it is self-awareness. So what really is that? It is understanding one's emotions, thoughts, and values and how they influence our behavior. This includes capacities to recognizing our own strengths and limitations with a well-grounded sense of confidence and purpose. So what does this really look like? It looks like integrating our personal and social identities, identifying our personal, cultural, and even linguistic assets, identifying our own emotions, demonstrating honesty and integrity, linking our feelings with our values and even our thoughts. We examine sometimes our own biases. We experience self-efficacy in self-awareness. The big one, I think, in schools that you're here is having that growth mindset and developing interest and a sense of purpose. So that could look like just what we did in the beginning. What emotion are we feeling today? Taking time daily with our students to just see how they're feeling. And sometimes even, as caregivers, sharing our own feelings. A lot of times we'll ask our students when they get home, how was your day? How are you feeling? But also just taking a moment and telling them how we're feeling is a part of self-awareness. So we've covered 1, we have 4 more. If we look at these 4 pictures, what do we think competency we have? We have responsible decision-making, healthy relationships, social awareness, self-awareness, and self-management. What do these 4 pictures tell us? So, of course, it looks like our self-management. So, depending on how we manage our emotions, our thoughts, even our time, can truly have an effect on how we're feeling, right? So, here, she's managing her time on the phone, and now she has all of these emotions here. Here, he's doing all the things. It's what I like to call all over the place, right? So, self-management. Self-management is the ability to manage one's emotions, thoughts, and behaviors effectively in different situations to achieve goals and aspirations. So this includes capacities as to delay gratification, managing stress, and feeling motivation and agency to accomplish our personal and collective goals. So what does this look like in a student's life? Managing their emotions, identifying and using stress management strategies, exhibiting self-discipline and self-motivation, setting personal and collective goals, using planning and organizational skills, showing the courage to take initiative, and demonstrating their own personal and collective agency. So for a student, this could look like using their school agenda, um, managing their emotions. This could mean the use of fidget toys that they may have received in school. This could, be calm down strategies like breathing, things like that. And just setting goals, for you as a caregiver, a goal maybe that you would set for your student is, maybe at the end of the first 9 weeks, if there's a subject that they're having difficulty in, maybe finding one thing that is accomplishable for them to set that goal for. So this is the competency of self-management. Here is our next one. We have a couple kids at the bottom. We have some high schoolers when my screen goes back. Okay, so we have some high schoolers here at the top. We have like a group of middle school students. So what do we think this could be? We've already covered self-awareness. We've already covered self-management. So yes, it's the social awareness piece. So what is social awareness? Social awareness is the ability to understand the perspectives of and empathize with others, including those from diverse backgrounds, cultures, and contexts. This includes the capacity to feel compassion for others, understand social norms for behaviors in different settings, and recognize family, school, and community resources for support. This could look like being curious about another's perspective, showing empathy and compassion, and acknowledging diverse cultures. So what does this look like in the school or, as a student? Taking other perspectives, recognizing the strengths in others, people that may not sound like us and who come from other cultures, that demonstrating empathy and compassion, showing a concern for feelings of others, understanding and expressing gratitude, identifying diverse norms, recognizing situational demands and opportunities, and understanding the influences of organizations and systems on behavior. So social awareness, for your student could be, again, expressing gratitude. What is one thing that made you happy today? Who is one person that you encountered that you may not have seen today that you found interesting? Those are ways that students can become more social aware. Those are also ways that we as parents and caregivers can show students, model that for them. Recognizing strengths in others, speak to someone new today, find out a new fact about your teacher. Those are all ways, again, just small things that we can do every day to recognize, others' cultures. And back to the pictures. So now we have a lot happening. We have some love here at the top. We have a little bit of arguing over here. We have a heart connected to the brain. We have what looks like a classroom setting and people talking. So going back, because by time this is over, I want you to know the 5 competencies. We've done social awareness, self-management, self-awareness, and we have 2 more. Does anyone remember what the last 2 are and which one this could be? It starts with an R and ends with skills. So I am going to go on, and it is relationship skills. Thank you, Ms. Wines. Relationship skills. This is something that we feel like is probably a strength area for us, right? So what are they though? How is relationship skills defined? So relationship skills are really just establishing and maintaining healthy and supportive relationships that allow us to effectively navigate settings with diverse individuals, groups, and even sometimes, well, majority of the time, the people that we know and that are close to us. So this includes the capacities that allow us to communicate clearly, listen actively, cooperate, work collaboratively to solve problems, negotiate conflicts. This could also look like navigating into settings that are different, to different opportunities that are different. This also looks like providing leadership and being able to seek help when needed. So what does that look like, right? So communicating effectively, developing positive relationships, demonstrating a cultural competency. For this, and this is going to be a big one in your student schools, practicing teamwork and collaborative problem solving. What does that look like when we're in a group setting? Resolving conflicts constructively, resisting that negative social pressure, showing leadership in groups, seeking and offering support and help when needed, and standing up for others. So when we think about positive relationships, that is, talking to our students about, what happens when you see someone in need. How can you help that person? Positive relationships, showing them talking about friendships, talking about the relationships that they have in the school building and even outside of school. Communicating effectively, going back to that self-awareness and thinking about, how you're feeling and being able to communicate that. Those are relationship skill building activities. And just resisting that negative social pressure, right? So here is our final one. And this should be easy because we've done them all. So we have a person at the top and he's trying to figure out which door he should go into. We have a child in the bottom and he's like, should I put on this helmet or should I not put on the helmet? Maybe I'll just ride the bike without it. We have a kid at the bottom and it's like light bulb. And so here we have decision-making, right? But we can make decisions, but what we want students to know is how to make responsible decisions. So our last competency is responsible decision-making. And so what does that look like to them? So that looks like just the ability to make caring and constructive choices about personal behavior and social interactions across diverse situations. This includes considering ethical standards, safety concerns, and being able to evaluate the benefits and consequences of various actions for personal, social, and a collective well-being, right? So what does that look like? It looks like demonstrating curiosity and being open-minded. It looks like learning how to make reasoned judgment after analyzing information, data, and facts. identifying solutions for personal and social problems, anticipating and evaluating the consequences of their actions, recognizing how critical thinking skills are useful both in and outside of the school, and reflecting on their role to promote personal, family, and community well-being, and just evaluating their personal, interpersonal, community, and school impacts. So, as a family member, this looks like, if as my mom would say, if your friend jumps off a bridge, are you? No, mom, of course not, because that is a responsible decision. It could look like, talking to your students about who their friends are. When they make wrong choices, this means that we make opposite choices. It could look like, what are the consequences for not getting our schoolwork turned in on time, or not studying for a test? Or it could even be consequences in the home. What does it look like when we don't make the decision to maybe wash the dishes? What happens? Well, the dishes pile up and now we have no dishes to eat with. So these are responsible decisions. So we've gone over the 5: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. So what does that look like? So we're going to build the connection of what this looks like as families and caregivers. I'm going to show you another video, and in this video, you will be able to see and hear examples of what each competency looks like in the home. Here. I need to share my sound.
School, and that helps build a positive climate and environment that sets the tone for learning.
Research shows that SEL can have a positive impact on school climate and promote a host of benefits for students, including better academic performance, improved attitudes about school, fewer negative behaviors like office referrals or drug and alcohol use, and reduced emotional stress.
Every child can reach their full potential and are provided the supports and the resources that they need to reach that potential. My hope would be that families are engaged and feel welcomed at the school and can get the resources that they need through the school.
In order for students to meet their full potential academically, I think that their social and emotional needs need to also be met.
Social emotional learning is something that people can learn and that we can help to teach that. My wish or my hope is that schools see themselves as places of support for kids and families and community.
We are their #1 role model. Between modeling and direct engagement in their education and direct engagement with the school and the teachers and participating, the parent's the #1 educator from day one.
Those strategies that mom and dad share with them are also the same strategies that schools have shared with them.
As students learn social and emotional skills, it's important that they have opportunities to practice and apply those skills in real-life situations, both at school and at home.
One of the ways that parents can help children at home through the use of social emotional learning is to connect with the school.
Whether it is attending local school meetings, parent-teacher conference, emailing their teachers, I think it's just important in whatever way you feel you want to engage to do so.
Parents can help bring SEL into the home in many ways. Here are 5 examples to consider. For self-awareness, take time to talk about feelings with your child every day by sharing your own feelings and asking your child to name their feelings as well. For self-management, teach and model positive ways of managing stress, disappointment, and anger. For social awareness, use story time to develop social awareness by asking your child how they would feel if they were in a similar situation as the characters in the story. For relationship skills, develop your child's ability to resolve a conflict by asking questions about the situation instead of giving advice. For example, try asking, "What do you think your friend was feeling when that happened?" Or, "How can you work to make things right?" And finally, for responsible decision-making, talk to your child about consequences by asking questions like, "What might happen if you choose not to wear your coat if it's cold outside?" Or how might your friend feel if you choose to cancel your plans to get together?
Social emotional learning helps us because it brings us all together.
Social emotional learning is a journey we're all on until the day we die. We're all striving to be the best person we can be.
My hopes and dreams are that my students just are able to fulfill their full potential in life.
We need every child to be ready to take on whatever the world brings them. And social emotional learning and the strategies that teachers use to garner that will enable our children to get there. I just want them to be ready for the world and take it on and take it by storm.
For more information on social and emotional learning, go to castle.org.
So after watching that video, I really want you to think about how you can implement social emotional learning in your home. What are some things that you can do as families and caregivers that you'll just do differently after this, whether it's reaching out to your child's school to volunteer, whether it's building those connections with your student every day by, asking them how they're feeling, whether it's reaching out to, talk about your culture, your culture, or even, getting some family engagement activities going at your child's school. What is something that we can do as families and caregivers that it's different? When schools and families form these authentic partnerships, they build such strong connections that reinforce, our students' social emotional development. As I stated earlier, you really are your child's first teacher, and you bring such a great expertise about their development, their experiences, their culture, and even more their learning needs that no one else can bring. These insights and perspectives are so critical in informing and supporting sustaining SEL efforts, that we are putting in the school systems. Again, when it extends into the home, and families are far more likely to form these partnerships with the schools, it brings norms, it gives higher values, and just cultural representation that reflects their own experiences. Schools need inclusive decision-making processes that ensure that families, particularly those from any group, that they are part of the planning, implementing, and truly continuously improving SEL. So with that being said, we are going to go back to Mentimeter. And I would like you, I think I lost Mentimeter. I would like you to just think about what would you like more information on as it relates to SEL? And I'm going to get the Mentimeter back up. So that you are able to type. And it should now be open. So you will go back to, and I'll share that page with you again. Menti.com. The code is 7509-1679. And just you can put what information you would like as it relates to SEL. And then while that is open, I'm going to share the resource slide. On the resource slide, you are able to scan the QR code. It will take you directly to the PWCS Heals SEL page, where you can get more information there. I know the presentation will, go out to parents. It has the 2 videos there, the SEL for parents and the SEL 101. And thank you for joining, and I'm going to turn it back over to Yanette.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thomas. Do we have any questions from anyone that you may that you feel comfortable typing in the chat while we have Ms. Thomas here to help answer any questions? I'll just give a minute or so to see if there are any questions. All right, it doesn't look like there are any questions. Thank you so much, Ms. Thomas. This is information that is greatly needed. I also wanted to say that Ms. Thomas will be coming back throughout the year to provide other family engagement sessions on positive climate and culture. So she'll continue in December with self and social awareness, just delving into it a little bit more. In February, she's scheduled to return for relationship skills, and then in April for self-management. At this time, we have placed the survey link in the chat. Please take the time to fill that out and just provide any feedback. Based on your feedback, kind of determines what sessions we offer for you in the future and just your interest. And so thank you so much again, Ms. Thomas, Ms. Wines, for joining us tonight. And thank you all for joining us. And we hope this was informative for you, and everyone have a wonderful evening. Bye.